obviously the overview of the chapter that we picked was what chapter was it, 13?
13, yes.
Over social studies. So the key points from that chapter were video conferencing, virtual field trips, accessing primary sources, and digital storytelling. We felt those were the most important.
Yes.
So in this article that I found, it was called Pass Play, and it was by Kevin Bradley Key. He went to the University of Michigan. Gross, but anyways. So basically he was saying, why should we play with history or technology with history? And he explained that it can open up new opportunities into looking into history. So like ways that you've never really seen it before, like virtual field trips, for example. Like you can virtually go to a battlefield. And he got the opportunity to go to the National Museum of American History in DC and do this experiment with high school students. And they used the technology within the exhibit space, and the engagement and learning increased exponentially.
I think that raises it's a good point. I mean, teachers can either ignore technology completely and act like it's not there and act like kids aren't going to use it, or completely embrace it. I think that's a good point. I really believe that.
Yeah, the paper I looked at talked about was actually research on 4 first-year social studies teachers and how well and how much they integrated technology in their social studies class. And what the guy found was what made the biggest difference in the end was what they believed going into it. So, and they all came from teacher preparation programs. So, as much as it is about learning technology, you have to accept it at some point in order for it to really become effective.
Yeah, it's very true.
And so the article I found kind of relates to what everyone else has mentioned already, is that you can either ignore technology or you can embrace it. And a lot of teachers that I read about from the article, particularly in the art field, was using technology as a way to do virtual field trips, like Riley mentioned. Go to museums. You can go visit the Louvre or the High Museum in Atlanta. Various places, around the world that you can't get to, conveniently, now can be accessible in the classroom. But not only that, you could also have students in your art class build digital portfolios, have an online portfolio, something that they could, they could pull out their phone and show someone their artwork that they've created in the classroom. So use it as a way to, to highlight themselves, basically. And then various other means of application in the art room.
Yeah, the book mentions like archives and stuff for social studies, like the Library of Congress, that kind of stuff. So like that's kind of where those two kind of go hand in hand, definitely.
So what does this mean for learners to integrate technology? So like for me and Chase, we talked about, like, of course, not ignoring technology, but instead embrace it. Because at the end of the day, it's making things more modern for our students, because they are raised in a technologically advanced society, if that's even a word. It gives them more hands-on and visual approaches too. So like it's important that they, we understand it, because we have to understand it to be able to teach it to them.
I agree. I think we should really use technology in the classroom because it opens up so many more opportunities for learning.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's probably what my paper mentioned was one of the things teachers all had frustrations with was getting support from administration and actually setting up technology to be able to use, which my paper's a little older because they were talking about how, getting the computer room booked for the day was a task. Whereas now every kid is being assigned Chromebooks that's being pushed onto them. So that's becoming less and less of an ordeal for a teacher process to set up and go through and make a planning for a big deal, whereas now you can do it every day, any day.
Even when I was in high school, I graduated in 2017. It was hard to get laptop carts or a computer lab. It was still a task. Like, that's not that long
See,
ago.
I've never even heard of laptop card.
Yes.
That didn't exist when I was there.
But I definitely think it's changing
No.
now. I mean, like you said, Chromebooks, iPads, everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one-to-one initiative with Chromebooks and everything is something that took me back, because I graduated in 2006 and I never even had a personal laptop, and now students have these iPads and Chromebooks, and they can check it out, and then at the end of the year they can purchase it for a much lower price, and so they can continue to use it. So it's something that they not only have access to and can learn through the entire year or the entire time they're at school, but then they can also keep using it afterwards and keep growing with that technology as the technology changes.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
Well, so like, let's see. So like, obviously, to like sum it up, like, to strengthen like my skills personally, since I'm teaching younger kids, it's not harder to use technology, but it's such a young age too that
Yeah.
you don't want to have.
It's a different kind of technology.
Yeah, you need to find it in a way that they can understand it, if that makes sense. I know for me, because it's constantly growing and changing, we really do need to stay up to date with it, because it changes every day. Like, it changed from 2017, like Chase said, like, I didn't have my own personal Chromebook, like,
I also graduated the same year as Chase, and I had never even heard of having your own personal Chromebook until I got here.
yeah, I didn't even
We
know that
could
was a thing.
we could barely bring our laptops. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was, it was pretty restrictive back then.
And like, I
back
think
then.
my favorite thing is, since I'm an early childhood education major, at that age, parents want to be more involved in their students' academics. Because in high school, my parents didn't know what was going on. So like the personal like little apps they have now, where parents and students can be connected into it. Great background music.
We're gonna edit
guys.
that part out.
Having the parents connected with their students and seeing their progress, because I'm sure like in an app you can have that portfolio that you're talking about that shows their parents all the work, and I feel like that was something key that I learned from like this class.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about digital like citizenship?
Yeah, I don't. What did we talk about that?
So you and I found an article that just went over the kind of the 9 themes of digital citizenship, and it ranges from access, commerce, communication, literacy, etiquette, law, rights and responsibilities, health and wellness, and security. And Carly and I both agree that literacy and etiquette are the 2 kind of big ones, especially for her as early childhood. You have to teach these kids kind of how to read technology, how to use technology, and also what you're supposed to do with technology.
I think it's still important in like middle grades and high school, because what you're teaching them, like with WebQuest, we really didn't even know kind of how to like obtain it either. So like with his directions, it helped us a lot. So we need to be able to understand
I mean,
what we're teaching it.
It's an essential basic to have, because so much of everyday civic engagement is becoming more and more of a technology part. Like most of the time when you go to vote, it's not on a written ballot anymore, it's on a touchscreen.
Touchscreen, yeah.
Right, and that's a huge part of the civic engagement. That's what most of our job is doing.
Even something as trivial as like buying groceries now.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like you have the pickup lines where you just order it all online and then go to the store and they load it for you.
And most like in high school, I didn't even really have textbooks. You could just get it online if you wanted it.
Same.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I don't know how it's gonna be when I start teaching in a year with early childhood. Are they gonna have textbooks to look at, or are they just gonna have to look at it online?
E-readers and everything.
Yeah.
They have Chromebooks in most schools.
Well, I know even for myself, I had textbooks all through school, and it's only been within the last 2 years that I've actually started just downloading my books for classes here at Piedmont, and it's great, honestly. I mean, but at the same time, I miss having like a physical book to read in my hand.
Technology at work right there.
Yeah. my other class. Printing something?
We're having a little party here. We are indeed.
Thank you. On that, for the idea of textbooks, even if it was assigned a textbook, I would probably still go off of it as much as possible. Because that, to me, is where a lot of the disengagement as far as connecting with history comes is, that's a secondary source, that's not a primary source. And so the opportunity comes is using technology, which is a more engaging thing than a book or any sort of essay, than to help connect with primary sources and create that a little more. So.
Oh, and yeah, and my junior year history textbook didn't cover Barack Obama's presidency.
Right,
It stopped at George Bush.
because it didn't update.
And I was like, this is 2016. I mean, how is this possible?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but you know.
I don't even think mine covered Bush. I think it stopped at 9/11 when I was
Really?
in high school.
Wow.
I think mine went through Bush's first term. I think mine stopped at 2004, and that's something that technology can really assist with.
Right.
You know, I mean, just
But I also
read
think
anything.
teachers now are struggling with the idea of like sticking with the standards, so they don't really know how to integrate the technology with those standards. So I feel like that's an issue that's been arising too.
And which is one reason why for me personally, it makes me value this class even more, because now I've seen everything that's available, and there's been a few times where my mind is kind of like, oh, like I could use that, or I could use this, and so I've tucked away as many things as I can from this class for that reason, because I do hope to integrate them one day.
And even not just the stuff we've seen, the fact that knowing that there's stuff out there that we can go find, stuff that we didn't cover in this class.
Yeah, I mean, like your VR thing for
Right.
the smartboard. Like
That's
that
awesome.
was incredible. I didn't know that you could really
Yeah.
do something that easily. You just had your cell phone
Yep.
and one iPad linked up to with
Yeah.
it, or that's so easy to do.
Well, it's also easier to contain a classroom that way than having them all go on this huge field trip.
Right.
So like I feel like that is like important to note.
Yes.
We love this class.
Sweet.
Had a great
Call it
time.
good.